reason. And that reason is that at 12:25 yesterday morning, we received an email saying that some things were going to change with the forum that I wasn't really comfortable with. I was told he was a volunteer. In fact, I've learned through his organization records that he's still the president and the CEO. So to be fair, my answers are going to be a little bit brief tonight.
So the question becomes, for somebody to do this, which is totally out of character, there had to be a reason. Now, drugs, dementia, I don't think so. So the question becomes,
Redford is the home of heroes and leaders. And all of you out there are heroes. And all of you out there are leaders. And you do lead in different places and different things. But it's because of what you've done in our community, it is the community that it is. And from all of us in the township, we want to thank you for what you've done in the past and what you will continue to do in the future. And we also especially want to recognize these 5 candidates running for the office of supervisor here in the township. These are all heroes and leaders too. And they have been heroes in our community in all kinds of events and situations and things in the past, and will be in the future, no matter what happens in this election. And they are all leaders, as we all are. So congratulations to the township, and everyone in the township. Thanks for being here. It's important. This is the Redford Supervisor's candidate. It's really not a debate. Actually, I have a presentation, if you will. And it's hosted by the Greater Redford Community Foundation. And I'd like to introduce, and also the Redford Connection newspaper as well. I'd like to introduce Dixon. She's right here. She is going to tell us about the Redford, Greater Redford Foundation. And Dixon?
Thank you. Welcome to this event. So great to see all of us here, everyone here. Wonderful. My name is Dixon Teal, and I am the resident of the Redford Community Foundation. This organization was established in 2005 with the purpose to take a leadership role in Redford and the surrounding area. The foundation is in unique category, recognized by IRS, part of the community like Livonia, Canton, the Southfield, and have embraced. The organization is designed to acquire donations from community members and place them into endowments. The endowment will build income which get reinvested back into the community. This year, the Rainbow Memorial Endowment was awarded to the Family Alliance Network Summer Program for the children. For further information, you can be found in www.grcf.org. And I thank you again for participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dixon. Also, we have a timekeeper.
Yes. I have my director with me. She will be your timekeeper today. Michelle?
All right, Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. You're welcome.
And as I said before, we're also, this forum, if you will, is also sponsored by the Redford Connection, the newspaper here in the township. Is everybody familiar with the paper? Yeah. That's good, because everyone in the township should be getting one for free. We also have it in the library downstairs. We have it in town hall. Everyone, we have them in various restaurants and bars where everybody goes, 5 Mile and 6 Mile, White Rhino, Salvation Army and Grand River, and a whole bunch of other places. Also, we go to the 2 school districts, or 2 of the school districts, Redford Union and First Student, also gets copies of the paper. And there's a lot of people who teach our kids don't live in the township, and so this is an opportunity for them to have a copy of the paper. And a lot of the kids see their picture of the paper, so they get a copy as well. And a bunch of other places around the town, like Murphy Street, and 5 Mile, Chamber of Commerce, and a bunch of other places. So if you haven't seen it, there's places you can pick up, and if you don't get a copy, let us know, and we will have you enroll and we'll get it done. We also want to say that tonight's presentation is being videotaped by these gentlemen back here and by Vincent back here. This will be on YouTube that you can look at. It will be posted there. And you can find it by going to YouTube, Redford Topics, Candidates Night. And that will be posted. I'm not sure when that will get up in the next day or so. It should be up. So I'd like to introduce 5 candidates running for the office of supervisor. And on my right is Pat McCray. Next to it is Tracy Schultz-Kolar. Next to her is Pat Kennedy. Next is Jim Bailey. And last year is Thomas O'Connor. These are the 5 candidates that are participating in the forum tonight. And we really want to thank you all for coming out and doing a great opportunity for people to get to know who we're voting for and what they believe in, what we're going to do. I'd like to go through how these people got in order. We drew names before you got here for the 5 candidates to determine who was the first person and who was the second person. And that's how they're seated today. How this will work is each candidate is going to have 1 minute to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about them, where they want to see the township to go, and things like that. The moderator will then read the first question. There are 5 questions total. And each of the candidates then, in that order, in a rotating fashion, will answer the 5 questions. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. So you'll see this lady down here holding up a little card telling you, you've got 30 seconds left here. Then we'll go to the second question, and we'll rotate going down to the next person to start the question. And we'll conclude by each candidate will have 4 minutes to summarize what they want to know, and make sure that it's clear what they're trying to say. And we're scheduled to end by 8 o'clock or even later. So the moderator, so anyway, once again, the citizens of the township thank all of the candidates here for all you have done as a citizen, and some of you as officials in the township itself. And as a leader, whatever job you have led other people in this township to be a great place to live, to work, to worship, and to play in the past, and no matter what happens in the election, in the future as well. So there are 5 questions for presentation. The first question is, what is my plan to make our community safer? What's that?
I thought we were doing introductions first.
Introduction first.
I'm just going to go through the questions so that these guys know. Then we'll do the introductions. Second question is, what is my plan to bring businesses back to Redford? Third question is, what role will I, as a supervisor, play in the township? And the second part of the question is, what changes will I make to employee groups and how? Fourth question is, what is my plan to stimulate, to eliminate, what is my plan to eliminate potholes and blight in Redford? And as you know, we made great progress on that with the current township activities. But we can always do better. And the last question is, what qualities and strengths of my opponents do I see as valuable to our township? So the next thing I'd like to do is have the candidates introduce themselves. I'm going to start with Pat McCray.
My name is Pat McCray. I'm running for supervisor. I've been a resident of Redford Township for 40 years. I'm married with 5 children and 7 grandchildren. I've been on the board of trustees for 12 years as a trustee. 30 seconds. And I'm also the chair of the Redford Democratic Club. And I'm endorsed by the Redford Township firefighters and the Detroit Metro AFL-CIO. And I look forward to this debate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tracy Schultz-Kovalers. I presently serve the community as a Redford Township Supervisor. I've been on the board for 12 years, and prior to that, I was on the Zoning Board of Appeals for 2 years. I graduated from Redford Union High School in 1979, Central Michigan University, and Michigan State University, where I've received several credentials and different certifications, including being a Michigan Political Leadership Program Fellow. I do have to say something that you're going to see a different side of me tonight. Usually you hear me being very chatty and long answers. But tonight I think you're going to see the side of me that can be very brief and for a reason. And that reason is that at 12:25 yesterday morning we received an email saying that some things were going to change with the forum that I wasn't really comfortable with. I asked about the role of one of my opponents. I was told he was a volunteer. In fact, I've learned through his organization records that he's still the president and the CEO. So to be fair, my answers are going to be a little bit brief tonight.
Come on, Michelle, you can jump.
There you go.
Hello, I'm Patricia Kennedy. I've lived in Redford for 58 years. I do own a business in Redford Township since 1998. I am co-president of the Redford Rotary. I am a member of the Chamber of Commerce. I also have been in the township for 58 years. I've been a lifelong resident, and I still believe in Redford. And I hope this debate or forum that we're having, you will make informed decision on when you go to the polls on August 2nd.
Hi, my name is Jim Bailey. I am running for supervisor, as you know, part of the Redford Reform ticket. There's a board in the back that has some documentation to support what I'm going to tell you. I don't want you accepting anything at face value. So I am a lifelong resident of the township, so I've been around and seen a lot of things that have been occurring with the township. And it's come to that point in time when it needs to stop. I'm a veteran, Army Airborne National Guard. I have degrees in political science, sociology, biology, electronics, robotics, and nursing. Elected Parks Commission 12 years. The first time tour of duty was for 8 years, back about 30 years ago. So I'm able to compare the government back then versus what's occurring now. And that's part of the red flags that have been raised in terms of asking questions on how the government is handling things. I'm a registered nurse for 30 years, government internships, local and state levels, graduate of multiple leadership programs, a founder of the Greater Redford Community Foundation, and that's done. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Tom O'Connor. Thank you for coming out and supporting us and your favorite candidate. I formerly served as a appointed official here for 17 and a half years. I ran the youth programs, I worked at the district court, and then my final stint as an appointee, I was the constituent service director, so I knew where every pothole was. I've been on every one of your porches with my affiliation through the outreaches I've done in the community. I'm excited to be here tonight. The prettiest girl in the room is my wife, Carrie, and my son, Joe, is here, and he's got his gal, so we're ready to rock this tonight, and we're really excited to be a part of the forum. Thank you. Still on.
It's going to be tough, and we apologize for that. First question tonight, I'd like to start with Tracy. And question one is, what is my plan to make the community a safer place?
My plan to make the community safer, is that question number one? It's very simple. Be tough on crime. Continue to be tough on crime. Hire more police officers, hold people accountable, and move them through the court system as quickly as we possibly can.
Okay, I have identified 2 areas of immediate concern that will address the community: safety would be first, in the 30 days of my administration, I would meet with both Chief of Police and Fire Chief, increase visibility of in our public safety officers as a significant step forward. As an example, department heads can be a larger presence in the schools by according to the school board to put more safety-related presentations, teaching students that our public safety officers are there for them to the benefits of it. Stopping in at the businesses just to keep in touch with businesses owners would be also a long way toward preventing problems before they start. Second, I would meet with the Lighting Commission to determine what can be done about non-functioning lighting and making better use of our current lighting resources. This may include replacing outdated lighting with newer ones, more efficient lighting sources. I believe significant savings from both utility usage and reduced crime will offset these initial costs.
So when I spoke before, were you able to hear me in the back?
Yeah.
Alrighty, so the first thing in terms of having safety is you have to deal with the foundations of government. Right now, it's pretty sloppy government. You have multiple ordinances which are old. You have the purchasing ordinance, which was identified under the Winchester contract 2 years ago as being outdated. Now, they still haven't corrected that at this point in time. So whatever was done illegally back 2 years ago, there's still no repercussions for it to happen now because the ordinances weren't updated. He spoke about constituency services ordinance. How long is that? How long have you been out?
I've been gone since 2008.
So that ordinance is still being carried on the books. There are 3 ordinances on the books in which you have 2 lines of command for police and fire. Now, that is sloppy government. Take it a step further. The warrant list of bills, 2 years ago when the supervisor was paying off the Winchester contract at $5,000 per month, what she had to do without the board, township board knowing about it, she had to slip those within the warrant list of bills. Now, that, and the township board approved it. The warrant list of bills is a document like 28 pages long, unless you know what's happening in a lot of cases. What you're doing is just okaying bills that you don't know anything about. So, in the city of Royal Oak, $400,000 was embezzled over a 2-year period of time. Same sort of thing. The city had to approve it before the checks were cut. Now, she proved that there was a deficiency within the warrant list of bills, yet, as far as I know, we're still working with what we have, and we've been working it for years. So the question is, if she did it, is there a possibility that it's been done before? Now, safety works at multiple levels. It's not just police and fire. We need a strategy for police and fire. You just don't hire people. You have to know where you're going. The same thing in terms of, thanks a lot.
Okay. This is my priority, neighborhood safety. So remember the question is about how are we going to make the township safe. I'm big on alarms and I'm big on video surveillance, so I would bring that to more of the public intersections, certainly the shopping centers. But I would also connect the monitors to our dispatch and also a live feed to my office. I take crime very seriously. How many have had their house broken into or anything stolen from their property? Yeah, I know we were victimized, and a buddy of mine loaned me a shotgun, literally, because he was like, "You're not safe there." And it's like, but things have changed. You know, people will come in your house in the middle of the night. So I would say this, that I would be committed to guarding the borders and the school areas, because that's a big thing for me is our school areas. I want our kids feeling very safe when they go to school. Right now they don't. They got one eye out for the drive-by. That's not going to happen if I get in. That's not going to happen. I believe in community policing, aggressive crime prevention, and I also believe in aggressive policing. So my passion right now also is to involve citizens. We used to have a REAP patrol, a Citizens Eyes and Ears patrol, and that prevented a lot of crime. We need that around the clock now. We need our eyes and ears open 24/7, because when we shut the lights off, the criminals go to work. I will say this, the way my alarm idea works is we could bill these alarms right on the water bill. We can monitor them in-house for dirt cheap, for $4 or $5 a month. But it creates revenue to put back into policing. Also, the water bill, I'm not done with this idea of billing on the water bill. I also look at our, still at 30 seconds, perfect. I want to look at our wireless products and our franchise agreements with the cable companies. And I want to build more products onto our water bill that will save you money. Because right now, how many now are sick and tired of paying cell phone bills and cable bills? I know I am. Yeah, and the water bill, but here's the thing.
It took another hike.
Good point. Yeah, it's another hike, but it'll save you a lot of money on your alarm and also on your wireless. So thank you. Who's next?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Testing?
There we go. Well, okay. What we need to do, you did, okay. What we need to do is increase the number of police officers we have on the streets. And by doing that, I'm talking about putting in neighborhood policing so that the police chief would draw districts within the township and there would be an officer in every district in order to do that specific job. And when bad people come into our neighborhoods, they look for easy targets. If they know that we have a neighborhood policing going on, then they will find somewhere else to go. We also need to give more support to our neighborhood associations because this is an opportunity for all of our neighbors to talk to one another, and so that way they get to know each other and they can look out for each other and make the appropriate calls to the police to get things taken care of. We have neighborhood watch groups that are doing very well, and we need to spend more time and increase that number and put money into that if that's what's necessary to get that job done. Thirdly, we need to add another fire rescue team because the runs are extremely high, and we want to make sure that when there's a phone call made that you get the service that you deserve. It also helps to make sure that our mutual aid agreements don't go south, because if we're doing all the taking and not sharing, then those agreements will fall apart. So all in all, I think the most important thing in our community is feel safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. I was going to back and forth, so we have to turn the things back and forth. So anyway, the second question on the agenda tonight is, what is my plan to bring businesses back to Redford? And I'm going to start this with Patricia Kennedy.
What I'd like to do is to show Redford in its best light for the town, what the township is and about. Being a business owner myself, I can go to people that are interested in the township, show them Redford in its best light. Show them that they can grow in this community. We can fill all these empty buildings up and down all the main roads. I see so many on Plymouth Road, Beach Daily, Inkster, and if we can get the landlords or the owners of these buildings to spruce them up a bit, make them look appealing, and then as we can show these to the businesses and say, hey, you know, this is the best community. The people here are awesome, and if we get them coming in, we can hopefully entice them with, you know, some type of incentive that if they stay with us, that we can grow as a community. And from there, we can, people that are shopping at it might say, oh, this is a great community. And then they can fill these vacant houses and bring in more tax revenue for the township. Thank you.
Folks, there's a reality here. You just can't, you can have the best buildings in the world. If you don't have a market, if you don't have the people aren't going to invest in that place in order to just have it go out of business. So the reality is what we need to do is, first thing is not to waste our opportunities. We had the Irish Festival here. It was, you can define tourism however you want, but the point is you drew people into the community, and while I was in the downtown area, it had an opportunity, people had an opportunity to get gas, go get a gallon of milk, something of that nature. Now, they telegraphed that they were going to move to green meat. We didn't listen to that. We were too smart. So we could have had another activity, an art fair or something like that, that could have piggybacked at the same location. So once you created a vacuum, the Irish Festival left, something else would be up and running that could take that place. Too bad. They're gone. Anything that we have to start has to start from scratch. So, and the question itself is a problem. To bring businesses back, what about the businesses that we have? Why did these people leave to begin with? It's just like Kmart when just before they went out of business. What did they say? We want you back as customers. Well, it's far easier to keep what you have than it is to try to bring people back. Now, we are in a situation where we do have a lot of vacancies, so what we do is we need to create a market. We have to create a demand within the community so that people want to come into here, not only to live, but to buy things. We're in direct competition with Livonia, Southfield, Dearborn Heights, and whatever. If we're not coming back with a better program, we're going to follow the destiny that's been projected by the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments. They have a projection for the communities out to 2040, and it's not good. And especially when you've got top-notch programs like Southfield has, where we have to go head-to-head to compete with them. What we need to do is do better in terms of our planning, marketing, and getting things going.
I do agree with Jim on you have to stay ahead of the trends and be ahead of the curve. And you were on your foundation, and I compliment you on that. I do like what Pat said also about the neighborhood associations. But I'll tell you right now, as far as business goes, we were fortunate to have, and we have two pioneers here of the 6 Mile Association, lawyer Charlie Haas and also DiMaggio from DiMaggio's Bakery. They kind of pioneered neighborhood associations and really made a great business environment on 6 Mile. I thought that was going to save the township for a long time. How many are in a neighborhood association? You really need to find one and join or start one, because they're really the key to your neighborhood and to your businesses around there. But I'll say that you have to tighten security and make it safe for residents to shop, because most of us won't shop here because we don't want to be mugged, or we don't want to pay for old food, or we don't want to all get our nails done, right? I mean, there's other things we want, other services and things we want that aren't here. Also, the businesses have to feel safe, and they have to feel like there's a reasonable opportunity to get a return on their investment, or they're not going to come here. We have to lead the charge in entrepreneur and enterprise zones. We've got to empower that next generation, my son's generation, and your kids' generation. We've got to empower them as entrepreneurs, because the job market has disappeared for these kids. They've got to, thank you. We've got to offer incentives like, and this is really going to yank your chain, free water for a year. That'll be another bite for you guys. But I'm saying we have to bring businesses in with some incentives. And then I'd like to redevelop 7 Mile for $7 grand and make it a sports complex or stadium, because I'm really tired of that as our go-to shopping area. I think this mic is starting with me.
Okay. Well, as far as businesses, I think that a lot of it comes back to what we've been talking about here for quite a bit, is feeling safe. business is not going to come into our community if they don't think it's a safe community to be, because nobody's going to come there. We need to also hold the businesses more accountable for the blight. I mean, we're ready to give tickets to residents for long grass. But if you drive around on some of the main roads, you see some businesses do not take care of their business the way that we're expected to take care of our homes. So we need to make sure they're more accountable for that. And anytime you open a business, I would believe that if you're coming to a clean, safe community, that's a big part of your market. I think we also need to work closer with the Chamber of Commerce and to help keep businesses here and find out what their concerns are. And I wouldn't be opposed to having a business forum just with businesses to talk about, the current businesses, to talk about their concerns in the community and how we can help to address that to make their business better and give us places to eat and shop. Thank you.
So thinking about bringing businesses back to Redford is not on my radar. You are never going to hear this again. I agree with Jim Bailey. What we need to be focused on here is keeping the businesses that are here. And while we have to pay attention to those that left, we need to know why they left. And many of them, it's because we as consumers do not have a need for their product anymore. So we've had a huge influx of new residents in the last 10 years who have different consumer needs. We need to be able to identify what those needs are from the residents and then actively recruit those businesses who provide those services. We also have to have an environment for those businesses to succeed in. We need to make sure that they have a safe parking place. We need to make sure that they are on a good, well-lit road. But most importantly, what is going to keep them here are people who will buy their product or buy their service. And if those two don't exist, the business cannot succeed. So I would focus on keeping the businesses that we have and making sure that we are very clear on the needs of our residents and the products that we need to purchase.
Thank you, Chris. The next question, we could have a microphone that puts it a little better, I think, but we'll work with this. Thanks for bearing with us. Third question is, what role will I play as supervisor in Redford Township, and what changes will I make to employee groups and how? And I'd like to start the answers with Jim Bailey.
Thank you very much. So, the role of supervisor is essentially one thing that's different than any of my fellow associates here, and that's the ability to see things that are occurring within the township. You have people here that are already in those positions where change could have occurred in terms of the ordinances being updated, the purchasing agreement being done, watching out for things like embezzlement or whatever opportunities for embezzlement within the warrant list of bills. Also in terms of reading the law. The Winchester contract had an investigation. Township attorney said that there was no law broken either on the state or local level. Therefore, there's no repercussions for going behind the board of trustees and signing a contract. The problem is, in the investigation, it talked about the charter township law. And that's one of the things that said, well, we didn't break, nothing was broken in there. None of my associates here must have read the law, because within that law, it says that it's not the supervisor who goes to each department and picks up $5,000 per month in order to pay that contract. It says it has to be by the township board. So when she took it upon herself to go into the departments and pull out the $5,000 per month, she broke state law. So, but again, the ball was dropped. And that's the same thing with the Parks Commission. The Parks Commission, it has the authority over the parks. The law is written right over there. Yet, I've given the law 4 or 5 times to the Parks Commission, and they fall in line with the supervisor's office and say, well, when we became a charter township, the law changed. Well, how can it be changed if we're elected officials, and that's the only law that allows us to be elected officials? In other words, the township doesn't have to follow the law, they don't have to look at the rules, they don't have to do anything. They make stuff up as they go along. That's been going on for decades, and it needs to stop.
I really enjoy listening to Jim, but I always forget the question. Could you repeat the question?
The question is, I'm glad you asked me that question. What role will I play as supervisor in the township? And what changes would I make to employee groups and how?
Okay, I'm going to go unplugged. I know that will help with the rattle. I really think that my role would be more of a visionary and a leader, and I think that I would be someone who would be more of a coach, and that coaching has to take place on the board. What's missing now is conventional wisdom. I remember when the executive committee used to be such a powerhouse and such a force to be reckoned with regionally, just the supervisor, treasurer, and the clerk, and we need to build that back in. Whoever wins up here has to do that, has to take ownership of that and make that executive committee strong, because you represent us. So I'll say this, that I'm a coach, I'm an executive, and I'm an organizer, CEO of the township, visionary leader. I have, a lot of ideas. I said $7 grand, bulldoze it down and make it a stadium. Guess what they just did in Utica? Guess who built it? The same guy I called in 2004 and said, Andy, would you bring your team from Fort Wayne to Redford? He says, Tom, if you build the stadium, I'll bring it. I went to our then supervisor. I've worked for 4 supervisors. I went to Miles Handy, and he said, not this term, next term. Too prideful. He lost the next term. The idea died. Utica's got the stadium. I'm a visionary leader. I make deals. I can connect with people from all over the state. This gentleman used to be a vice president of the Palace, and then when Bill Davison's regime ended, he ended up buying a soccer team in Europe, sold it, made a ton of money, got back here, and Utica has the blessing instead of Redford Township. So I'll just say this, my role really will be more of a CEO, a coach, an executive, and an organizer, and a visionary leader. Thank you. That's dangerous.
Thank you. The role I'll play as the supervisor is I want to be united around the board. That we'll have a whole new board, we'll have 4 brand new trustees, and we need to, my plan would be to play off their strengths and make sure they're involved in whatever meetings that occur that play to their strengths and help build on their weaknesses. When we have meetings, some of the initial meetings have to be during the day, but if somebody wants to do business with the township, we can have evening meetings to make it available for trustees to attend those meetings rather than try to have them leave their jobs to come in and meet with whatever my calendar happens to be. So I'd like to get the people involved. Also, it's very important that when we have input from residents, that we not just hear what they have to say, but we respond and get back to them. Because the goal here for myself is not to be your parent and tell you what's good for you. I want to be your partner so we can work on Redford together, and that's very important to me. I also think that once I am elected, that I will meet with department heads and find out what they need to do their job. Is there anything that they're missing, any shortcomings that there happens to be, and work on how to get them the tools to do their job to provide services to the township. I also would like to institute a don't pass the buck initiative, because I've heard from too many residents over the years that they make calls and they get bounced around from department to department, and many residents just give up and say the township doesn't care about me. Some fight through it and get some resolutions, and some never do. And we need to eliminate that because we work for you. Thank you.
The role of the township supervisor is not something that you play. It's something that you live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. This is not a role. This is not a game. This is not anything that has to do with play. The job is a very difficult position. You literally must be available to everyone all the time. And that is my job. That is a job that I take extraordinarily seriously. My calendars are available to anybody who is an elected official right now. They know that. It's available on Google. If you want to join me at any meeting or see where I am on Tuesday at 6:00 p.m., come on. Every elected person on the township board knows that. And that's important to continue to do. Now, they don't take advantage of the offers, but it's still available to them. It is important that the township supervisor continue to work on improving the communication, work on the development of the board, especially with 4 new trustees. That's the job. We are the ones who are getting the calls in the middle of the night about floods, about shootings, about robberies, and just people who say, I just happened to drive past a building, do you know anything about it so I can buy it? That's the role of the township supervisor.
Okay, first I would be the ultimate listener for citizens, employees, and all department heads. They all need to know that I would be available to listen to their concerns, their suggestions, and their complaints so that I can act upon them. I would also need to be a cheerleader to show that the employees mean a lot to us, that, you know, that hopefully that they would then in turn work harder with the residents. I would then also, for the changes that I would make to the employee groups, as a trustee, I've always kept an eye out for problems. And I'm not convinced the board has always been kept appraised to the issues within the ranks. That I don't feel that we would appropriate comment specifically about any group of the greater employees without some type of time to review the results of all the analysis. So our citizens can rest assured, however, that our employees will, I would make sure that the employees will treat the residents well, because I hear lots of complaints that the residents say that when they go to the windows, they're being treated very rudely. That is something I would act upon immediately. Thank you.
As you know, each of the candidates here come up with one of these questions. And I don't know where this one came from, question number 4. But maybe there was another community. Question is, what is my plan to eliminate potholes and blight in Redford? And I'd like to ask Tom O'Connor, birthday question. Has anybody seen a pothole or blight in Redford?
No.
Thank you. Okay, so I've had 2 great accomplishments here. One was working with over 4,000 juvenile delinquents and training 400 volunteers. Some of those volunteers are here, and actually some are running for trustee, and it's just a great opportunity for me to see what God's doing in their lives. The second big accomplishment was I was involved with paving of the 54 miles of dirt roads. And it's because I was tired of watching people breathe dust, I was tired of pouring hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of mineral brine on them. And when I was a kid, they used to put oil on them. I don't know if you guys have been here that long, but we used to oil them, remember? So I say this, the road maintenance and the preventative maintenance, including crack fill and pothole patching machine, has to be in-house. We've got to be able to get to emergencies right away. Although we do get a lot of good partnership from the county, we still have to have something in-house.
we need to do a windshield survey, and you need to share that feedback with John Selmy or his departments, because that's important that we get that feedback. When I was constituent service director, I knew where every pothole was. Every single pothole, every single complaint that came in about roads came to me. So I had a pretty good understanding of that. Also, I want to say that blight does creep into all communities, and we need to hold the businesses and the residents accountable through sanctions, ordinances, and enforcement in all matters. But we also have to include the assistance and the training necessary to help those folks get up to speed, because a lot of people move here and they're in shock. They can't believe they've got to, cut their grass when it gets this high or whatever. So, I mean, there's some of that's education on our part. So, Mike, we had one other question about employees. Are we going to handle that today, or is that not part of it? There was a question that said employee groups, how will they be treated? And I think that was about unions. And I just want to say that unions will be taken very serious and will result in fair negotiations. And I had some other things, but I'm finished. Back up.
Great. Okay. Part of eliminating the potholes in the township is their county roads, and I would work with the county to evaluate all the residential streets in Redford Township and get a list of the worst ones so that we have that to work off when funds become available. And any of those that were identified as being unsafe, and I'm sure that if you're out in the township, you may have it in your own neighborhood, or by where the sewers are, that they're sinking into the ground. It's like a washout, and those become a hazard because we don't want any sinkholes in the township. And as far as the blight, we have a problem with that here in the township. I've worked with the county and state to figure out better ways to attack that. I'd also put together a rapid response team, because there's some areas, the blight, that we should be able to attack. And I'd also look at other communities and what they're doing and what's successful. It's really difficult when you have, especially a vacant home. My understanding is that it's about 3 years before if they're behind their taxes, it goes back to the county for sale. And that means that they stay within that 3-year period, that you end up with a blighted home that's in your neighborhood for years. And we need to find a better way to handle that. And the only way that can be done is working with the state and the county to resolve those issues. Thank you.
To improve the roads, we have to remind Wayne County that they are their roads. And we need to stay on top of them until they fix their roads. 2 years ago, I was able to work with Wayne County in developing a program called the Township Road Initiative, in which Redford Township received $1 million for road repair work. We were able to direct much of that work. Wayne County still got to pick which road they were fixing or which roads they fixed. But had they not done anything, we'd be $1 million out, and some of our roads would be worse than they are today. So we need to stay on top of that. We do have a list of really bad roads. And I can tell you where voids are. I can tell you where some potholes are. I hear it. If I don't hear it in person, we know that I hear it on Facebook, because somebody always tags me in Facebook, and I can see the post and see the concern. I take those concerns immediately. I take them to our internal group to ask if there's anything we can do. If that won't solve the problem, if it is a void, we have to contact Wayne County. And then we have to ride Wayne County like the pony at Myers until we get the road fixed. That's what I do. So I stay on top of Wayne County until I get results. And I've shown results through 7 Mile, through Telegraph, through potholes, and through the recent $1 million road initiative program. In terms of blight, we need to educate new people about our rules, about our expectations. We've had a number of people move into the community, buyers and owners and renters, right? So I would propose that we develop a community forum for all new residents. Don't just walk into the clerk's office and get your welcome packet. Invite them to an event a luncheon, a dinner, something where they can come, meet with us, and learn about how they can help us keep Redford Township a great place to live, work, play, worship, and learn.
Okay, I had written an article in the Redford Connection back, I think it was in May, as a trustee, the concern of all these huge potholes. I measured one that was about 6 inches deep. I called Wayne County and they came out and repaired it. It was one of their alleys that a lot of cars use to get to a couple of the businesses because they have to park in their back. That is another priority. I see them. I have called a few times to Wayne County, and they do have them on the list to get out there and get them fixed. I'm hoping, I've given them a little bit of time. I will be calling them back. These are the things that bother me, that a lot of people say, these potholes are getting ridiculous. I've driven down many of the streets and I see them everywhere, and I tell them that I call, but I said, anyone that sees a pothole, please call the Wayne County roads and explain where it's at and hopefully get you on the list to get it repaired. So as a group, we need to work together on this. But like I said, that is another priority of mine, is to make sure that these potholes are repaired.
Let me start by asking Chris. You live on Glenmore. How long has that street been bad?
It's been bad pretty much the last 18 years that I've lived there. So.
Okay, so the thing is, we get up here and we say we're going to do potholes, we're going to do all these wonderful things. This is a problem that's been around for a long time. Instead of sitting here and saying that we're going to fill potholes, whatever, why don't we solve the problem? It is Wayne County's, but it's our asset. When we sit here and we talk about blight, you are considered by the township to be a revenue stream. So I ticket you, the first one's $75, second one's $100, third one's $300. I make money off of you. But in my administration, let's solve the problem. This is our asset. This small hole becomes a large hole. So instead of investing whatever it costs to fill that hole with asphalt, now I have to work with the whole road, the whole road, section of road to replace. But the problem is, in the township, what we do is we consider you being the source of blight. The problem is the township is the source of blight. This here is down at Joy Road and Telegraph. It's a hayfield. Yeah, I bet you not one ticket was given to the township in regards to it. This is a dead tree down at the downtown. This is a downtown center of Redford Township, 5 Mile Beach. So we keep a dead tree there. Yet we talk about blight. You need to keep your house clean. This is Glenmore. Now the supervisor goes out to the township and talks to people that have to have their sidewalks changed. And they say, well, we need to change it because if somebody had stiletto heels, they could trip. How many people do you figure could trip on Glenmore right here? Now, the stop signs. It's no problem for the stop signs to be hanging over or whatever. But you see Livonia, they got a guy out there straightening that sign right away. So folks, part of the problem is the township, according to this article, is each department is treated like a silo, which they operate separately. The idea is to have them start working together and come up with solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. This brings us to the last question today, and that question is, what qualities and strengths in my opponents do I see as valuable to our township? Ted?
Well, I want to start out by saying I think everybody up here cares about the community that we live in their own way. I know Tracy does a program at Christmas to help children have a Christmas here in the township. Patricia, She has a great love for pets, and she is a strong advocate for animal control officer. I know Jim, he works with the Redford Community Foundation, and Tom is a minister in the middle of the state and has a strong commitment to youth. So I think they all are good people. We just have different ways how we would like to govern.
I'm sure that our mothers loved us all. I'm sure that not all of you love all of us, and that's okay too. And that's what makes Redford Township great, and that's what makes people run for office.
Okay, I believe that the fact that the 5 of us here do care enough of the township to run, to be your supervisor and to lead this township. I know my heart, even though I don't know all of them well, my opponents, but they do have the best interest in mind and a strong belief that they have great opportunities to provide our citizens, present and future, with qualities of life that they deserve in this township.
Well, I can tell you that these are lovely people. They're beautiful people. They glow. When I look at them, it's like I'm looking in a mirror. Okay? That's how wonderful these people are. Now, they all have skills. They all have abilities. Now, I was going door to door, and an individual said, geez, why do you hate Tracy? Now, I'm a registered nurse.
That happened?
I'm a registered nurse, okay? You work the ER, people from the prisons, from the jails, whatever, come see you. Now, there are those nurses who pick and choose. And what they do is they blow the people off, they go back to the jail, and they die. That's happened multiple times. And it's all based on attitude. Let me tell you, in terms of hating or disliking, I put that away a long time ago. And the point is to hate somebody or dislike them or any of that stuff only hurts me. So whatever's being discussed here is on the philosophical in terms of the government level. Personally, they're fine individuals, just like you are. That's what we have to work with within our lifespan. So, even though we sit here and we talk, it's on the philosophical level, and you will not hear me go to the personal level or what they do at their house or what they're doing over here or whatever. It's only within their role within government, and it's only within the philosophical level. Thank you.
Awesome. So I'm going to start with Pat.
Oh.
I don't need that. So, Mr. McCray, I got to tell you something. Him and Betsy did stuff for the township and for the party that nobody else would do years and years ago. They literally worked their way up from just the lowest position possible into a position of leadership. Pat and I have worked together on a lot of initiatives. I've watched him. I actually named him Man of the Year one year when I was in charge of the paper because of his impact that he was making at Keeler School, that he was making in the neighborhoods, and they were given and given and given. And I will tell you this, Pat, just from a personal standpoint, you're one of the hardest working trustees that I've ever worked with over the last 30 years. Hands-on guy. This young lady I've known since 7th grade. So let me tell you something. She is tough as nails. She is a all-in. She talked about that burden 24/7. That's not an easy gown to wear. And it doesn't, the worst case scenario, she gets the call first. She's willing to work through tough battles. She stands up for her conviction, and she's always going to want to do the right thing. And I appreciate everything you've done. I'm proud of you for what you've done here.
Thank you, Tom.
This young lady, Pat Kennedy, now I don't know her as well as I've known these guys, but I know Pat and I know of her father, and so I know what we're dealing with here. So let me tell you that she's a team builder. She is the gal that really has a family legacy to protect. She's an overcomer. She had a very serious life-threatening illness, which we were all pulling for you,
Thank you.
by the way. And she fought back, and we thought she was on the ropes, and she fought back, and she kept her board seat, and she's been a very productive member of the board. And she's proven time and time again she can win, and that voters love the name Kennedy. This man right here, right now you figured out he's probably the smartest guy here. And he's capable of running the township, sensitive and caring. He was there when my mom died. He showed up with a bucket of chicken and some other fast food for my family. I've known him for 30 years, and I worked with him at the community center. And I would just say that he's a visionary as well, and he's got a long time commitment. He's cleaned the rivers. He's got a vision for Bike Pass, and I love you, Jim. Thank you all. I really appreciate these people. I think you can't lose this year. I really don't think you can lose.
Thank you all, and as Tom and Pat and everyone has said, all of these people are great people, and they're leaders in this township. And whatever happens in the election, I know they'll be great people and continue to be leadership positions in it. Maybe in a different place, a different spot, but they're not going away. They'll still be here. I'd like to thank everyone for the 5 questions. And finally, we're going to give each of the candidates 4 minutes to kind of summarize what we talked about and anything else they'd like to say in the last 4 minutes. And we're going to start with Tracy.
So I've taken some notes so I can make sure I summarize this correctly. One of the candidates said that we should improve lighting. We just installed brand new LED lights all the way around Claude Allison. We're installing them on Beach Daily, and we replaced new lights at Handy Park. That's the first step, and we are doing more. The LEDs that we're putting in on the service drive and up and down the main roads will have a huge impact, and that is all presently covered under the current lighting millage that you pay. Thank you, Mr. Bailey, for pointing out that there was nothing illegal with Winchester. That in fact, that contract, that work that was done, saved the township from receivership. Had we not had that legislation rewritten, Redford Township would not have been able to meet its bond obligations. The township board was invited to meetings individually and collectively. They received emails, they received updates. Not only was there an attorney that looked at everything, but I also asked for forensic accounting through Plant Moran, and that also showed that there was nothing untoward and that everything was spent the way it was supposed to be spent. I lost a piece of paper. It happened, and I admitted it as soon as Pat McRae saw the note. I admitted that part when I found it. That's a dead issue, and we saved millions of dollars and kept us out of receivership. Redford Eyes and Ears, that's a great idea. We're doing that now through CERT, we're doing that now through Neighborhood Watch, and the people who are involved in Neighborhood Watch are really, they're strong, and they're getting stronger by the day. So congratulations to them, and congratulations to the Chamber, who is now engaging people in the Business Watch as well. That's incredible. That's exactly what REAP used to be. I'm not really sure what we can do about enticing new businesses with some sort of incentive. We don't give away our property, our taxes, or our services, and I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to give away a year full of free water to anybody. I can't afford it. The loss of the Irish Fest, that was because there was no parking available and the crowd wasn't big enough. So they moved to Greenmead, which is an Irish location. Titan security, I agree. We need to hire more police officers. We do need to hold businesses accountable. We do need to make sure that people are safe. We do need to know that everybody is here to serve you 24/7, 365. And that Redford is a great place. Thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody for running. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you to our host and audience members for attending. It's important that we participate in our government in order to ensure it works for the citizens of Redford and not the other way around. I would like to thank all the supervisor candidates for participating in this event tonight. As I noted earlier, the fact that you want to serve in the best interests of the township is a credit to all of you. Your participation gives our residents an opportunity to make an informative decision when they go to the polls on August 2nd. The truth be told, my words tonight mean nothing without the determination to follow through until the job is done. But these things I believe in public safety should be #1 priority. A successful community rises and falls on the safety of its citizens. Once elected, I will immediately meet with the public safety officials in an effort to increase both visibility of our officers to improve the communication with you, our residents and business owners. This effort, along with reaching out to the community for suggestions, will take us to our goal of a safer streets and better relationship with the township. I believe that the township officials and employees must be accountable to you, the citizens. My administration immediate efforts to determine what we do well, where we need to improve, and will make drastic differences in how our township operates. Through these efforts, we can create a successful partnership between the officials and the citizens. We are, after all in this together. I believe that the township must learn through a strong advocate for itself in our relations with surrounding communities, the county and the state. My administration will see that Redford will be a force to be reckoned with. I believe that we must all work together to assist in the need, fix which is broken, and work to recognize the small problems. Therefore, before they become overwhelming. This is how to address our roads and blight. We can't just write tickets on the blight. We must also reach out to the hands to help. We must remember we are all on the same side. I believe my goals are attainable both in spirit and financially responsible way. We have too long been wasting money on projects of little use. My administration will make your tax dollars are wisely spent. Finally, I will be honored to be your next supervisor. Obviously, would prefer that you vote for me. My plans are solid and honest. We will start from day one to make Redford better. But even if you don't choose to vote for me, please vote. Your vote, your beliefs, vote for your favorite candidate. But of all, vote. It's your greatest chance to participate in how your community goes forward. It is that important. Thank you. Have a good night.
So folks, what needs to be done is things need to be done based on facts and data. And that's not the case with Redford Township. Not only do we make up the rules and laws and things like that as we go along, but there's some serious flaws within the community. Now, for speculation-wise, in regards to the Winchester contract in terms of being illegal, the thing is why would an individual that's been on the board for X amount of years suddenly go behind the board's back to write a contract? To save millions of dollars, to get millions of dollars? You think everyone would be on board. Now, if you step back and look at the bigger picture, at that time, the county executive was William Wildman from Westland, who was running for the county exec's position. Now, Winchester contract was heavily involved within his campaign. So the question becomes, for somebody to do this, which is totally out of character, there had to be a reason. Now, drugs, dementia, I don't think so. So the question becomes, was that money used for...
Seriously, you're going to allow that?
Used for the campaign. Now, I can't ask that question, but somebody who where there's repercussions if they're lied to, that they're the individuals to do it. Now, there's also a law 42 years ago. It was for the Builders Appeal Board. The township knew that Kevin Kelly, in an article in '86, mentioned the Builders Appeal Board in the article, so they knew about it. It's not a question that, you know, suddenly they were blindsided by a 42-year-old requirement. So what ended up doing is in 2014, Selmy went before the township board and said we had to come in compliance with the state. Now, all that time, it allowed the building department to have absolute control. So if you had a question on your building permit, there's no higher authority you could go to. Why? Because the township created it. This isn't mistakes, this isn't whatever. This is the way that things happen in Redford Township. The ordinance officer, there's a set of minutes there. What you can do is see where they did a home invasion on a house. He got PO'd at one of the individuals, so what he did is he went to the guy's house. He started searching the cabinet. Then he went upstairs, and he was told not to do it. There was somebody sick who did it anyway. So he had 2 witnesses that confirmed that he was inside the house. You can't do this. Within 3 hours of me inquiring about who signed the contracts for Claude Allison, an ordinance officer was out there citing me. They've cited me for over $700 to $800 in terms of assessed fines. I go to court next week, okay? In every election year, 2008, 2012, 2016, they hammer me with tickets. In 2012, they went after my mom's handicapped vehicle. You can see the ordinance there. What they did is they cited me under commercial vehicle parking in the street. It was a private vehicle parked in the driveway. I had 48 hours in terms of getting rid of the vehicle. All right? And that's against the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's happening to me. The thing is, what is happening to other people in the community? And it is happening, because what I do is I go and I contact them and I ask them would they be interested in being interviewed. No, I don't want the ordinance officers coming after me. No, I don't want to be a target. So the thing is this has to stop. How many decades does it go on and you just let it go on? Now, one thing is base things on fact. In Detroit, they have data-driven Detroit. We're going to have data-driven Redford. Our decisions are going to be based on facts. The thing is we had 30 years we've had computers. So, is there any computerized maintenance for our fleets? No. It's the same thing. It was just a couple of years ago that the police department.
Sorry.
You ready to go, or do I have to wait for you?
Go ahead.
Okay. My favorite part. We're almost done. So let me just say this, that I'm passionate about the next generation. That's why I came here tonight, is I want to see Redford thrive in the future. I was really a pioneer in the student assistant groups. I helped get those groups started in the schools and helped train police officers to go into the schools. Now every school has them, and every school needs them. I was in New York City in the 80s, and they were selling kids. Nobody had a cell phone. They were selling kids on 42nd Street. You could buy a 13-year-old boy or a 13-year-old girl. I was at Covenant House Runaway Shelter. They said, Tom, you think it's bad here. You should go to the Bronx. It was July, just like this, a 90-degree day. I got on a bus in New York, and you know, they just pack them. You're standing up, and I'm standing up in this bus going to the Bronx, and it breaks down in a war-torn zone where literally people are driving around the bus getting ready to kill us and steal from us, and they're going to mutiny the bus driver because New Yorkers are tough, and they think he did it on purpose, and he's on there, give me a new bus, give me a new bus. I've got a New York Times under my arm, and I pull it out, and I start asking the guy next to me if he knows what a 7-letter word for faith would be, and he says, don't bother me, and the guy next to him says it might be this, and I write it down. Pretty soon, the whole bus starts to get quiet. And we're like on the 4th clue, and then the 5th clue, and we're starting to fill this paper in. About 45 minutes into it, we're all dripping sweat. We get to the very last question. The new bus pulls up, nobody gets off because they want that last answer. And the bus driver goes, I know that one. And I filled it in, and that bus went crazy. Guess what? I didn't know one answer. I just had the paper. I just had the paper and a pencil. And everybody on the bus had a piece of the puzzle. You guys have a piece of this. I'm so glad to see people out with their favorite candidates on. I'm so glad that we got a culturally mixed board coming. I think there's some real great things going to happen for Redford. I grew up here in '67, I came here, and me and my buddy John, we were kind of like troublemakers. And so John comes over, he goes, I got a way we could trick the old wise man. I said, he's never wrong. Because this guy knew if the Lions were going to win or if they were, well, he wasn't that wise. But he knew, like, he knew the Tigers score, he knew everything. So we go up there and we go, and I go, what are you going to do? He goes, I got this baby bird. I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's feeding the bird with an eyedropper. And I go, what are you going to do? He goes, I'm going to put it behind my back. And I'm going to ask him if he can guess what's behind my back. I said, he'll never get it. He says, yeah, but if he does, I'm going to ask him if it's dead or alive. And he says, if he says it's alive, I'm going to crush it. If he says it's dead, I'm going to show him it's alive. Either way, we got him. I said, let's go, man. So we run over there. Hector! He goes, Tom, John, I see you guys are up to no good. Told you he was wise. John goes, hey, stop the small talk, wise man. What do I got behind my back? He goes, why, you got a baby bird behind your back. And me and John just turned white as a ghost. And he goes, yeah, but is it dead or alive? And we're like, we got it. We got it. And he goes, it's in your hands. So, you know, hey, this is my last time running. This is my last time running. I mean, I'm willing to serve in any administration or as the CEO. But I'm going to be out there slugging it out, and we're going to do our best. And but I really admire you guys and your commitment here tonight. Thank you for coming.
Well, I again apologize about the mic, trying to get the right adjustment. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight and gathering information about candidates. But as I've been walking in the township and knocking on doors, we're over 50% have walked in the township, and the same thing keeps coming up. People talk about safety, everything from street lights in their neighborhoods to speeding and to people breaking in, and especially blight. So we know that we have great parks here in the township, but if we don't feel safe, we can't use them. We know that we have nice neighborhoods. It'd be nice to sit out on your porch in the evenings, and some parts of the township, people are afraid to do that because they don't know what's going to happen. That's why it's important we have neighborhood police patrols to keep us safe. And being safe in a community is what draws businesses in, draws young people to our communities. And so that I promise to work on that particular area, let's get the policing in the neighborhoods. We need to make sure that we have a well-equipped, well-trained fire department, so when you call and you have an emergency, they get there quickly and get you the appropriate medication to the hospital to save lives. That's what it's all about. It's about being safe and living in a community that you can be proud of. If elected, I will work every day to make myself worthy to be representing you in Redford Township. I don't want to be your parent. I want to be your partner. I don't want to assume and tell you what's best for you. I want to work with you to do what's best for all of us. So thank you for coming tonight. August 2nd is the election. Please come out and vote. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming here. We talked about the agenda, how the meeting is going to be run. There aren't any questions and things in the agenda that all the candidates have agreed to. We do ask and expected that the discussions and things would be treated fairly and politely to all the candidates. I mean, that's supposed to be a street ball. If there's been something that's occurred that you think was inappropriately done, you would ask that you bring it up to the candidate and contact them and talk to the candidates. And they are always there. They are campaigning. They are important. They're interested in this community, and they're interested in you. And if something you think was inappropriate, I think you should discuss it with the person you think was inappropriate. So that kind of concludes our presentation. I want to say all the citizens of the Charter Township of Redford that are candidates for this campaign, we want to thank them for their time. They spent a lot of time and energy in this campaign to let you know about their plans, their goals, what they'd like to see happen in the township. And they appreciate you coming out tonight. The Greater Redford Community Foundation and the Redford Country Newspaper thank all of them as well. And thank all of you as well for taking the time to come out here and be part of this forum. As I mentioned earlier, elections are important, and the constitutionally limited republic that we have, we uses a democratic principle. And what happens depends on what we do. And the fact that you came out tonight, took the time to know who is running and what you thought of them and what they can do for the township, in your opinion, is very, very important. Because I see people, and they're on Facebook, and they're on the internet, and they're talking to people all over the world. All over the world. They don't know who they are. They say they're this or they say they're that. We don't know who they are. They could be in Europe and actually, broadcasting from all over. But one thing that we have a hard time in our community, there's no one who lives next door. Who's that? We're on the internet with people in the United Kingdom, they say. And sometimes we don't know our next door neighbors. And I think Tracy and all the candidates have been really clear that your neighbors watches it is a good way. We need to know who our neighbors are, because that's our community. And that's what we can change, and that's what we can look forward. These are the people that we need to know, and they live next door to us. So anyway, we don't have any questions in the format or responses. So if you have concerns that something gets out, then we'll discuss that with the candidate. And if there are any other questions or anything, your vote in the coming election it's only a month away in the primary for a lot of decisions to be made. What's that? Okay. Your vote is very important. It will change in whatever way what happens in the township. And it's important. And so we thank you for coming out. I think that for the future of the state of the township. So we thank you very much and for coming. And we wish you well and have a great day. Thank you for coming and see you later.